This is Beat 'em Down from Cult 45, the movie podcast, and you are listening to the Geek World All-Stars Podcast Network.
Welcome to the continued podcast adventures of Superhero Speak.
But I think many of the people that love this character and that love superheroes in general have used these stories as inspiration to say, you know what, I'm going to do something good in the world. I'm going to make a difference like my hero when I was a kid.
That is my fondest memory of it, because when you're doing comic books, you want them to affect people, right? You want people to care. You want to strike emotions, and I knew that Clone Saga was striking a lot of emotions.
Can you imagine Pulp Fiction starring Goofy and Mickey Mouse?
I can totally imagine that.
I'm sure somebody's written that one
quarter pounder with cheese and France. What? Royale with cheese. Yeah, I can totally.
See?
I would watch the hell out of that movie.
Yes, I gladly sacrifice up my progeny to you, almighty Marvel beast.
But Neil Adams is somewhere going, it's my time.
How do you measure success? Hey everyone, you are listening to Superhero Speak, and I am your host, Dave.
And I am pausing very suspiciously. M. John.
Oh, I took a new class on how to do podcasts, and it was taught by Bill Shatner.
Yeah, I was going to say. He had to come in somewhere. That's interesting. Okay.
All right, and JD is
nice.
JD is on his way as we speak. From our understanding, he is running to his house to get on this call.
If you listen really closely, you can hear the Benny Hill music. So, for those of you that know who the hell Benny Hill is, oh my God, that's really dating us. But okay.
And that song is known as Yakety Sax, for those who are curious.
Or even bi-curious. I don't
know. So, on that note, while we're waiting for JD this week, we do have some news to talk about. We've got, we've got some interesting news about the Snyder Cut. We have more news about what's going on with Marvel TV. And of course, we also have some news about The Mandalorian, and we're going to talk about it a little bit, even though some people haven't watched it yet. I will wrap everything up with an interview with Michael Walsh. So, does that sound good to you, John?
Yeah. Fair to middling.
All right, well, let's...
Maybe it's because I haven't watched The Mandalorian.
Let's get going. So, John, since you haven't been doing what everyone else on the planet's been doing and watching The Mandalorian on Disney Plus, what have you been up to?
I didn't sign up for Disney Plus yet.
I'm sorry. I think we can no longer be friends.
No, I was doing this thing, taking care of this thing that's coming up called Christmas shopping, and I haven't had a chance yet to I think I have to cancel Hulu or somehow wrap my existing account into Disney Plus or something like that. And then
well, it's the basic one is, I want to say $7.99.
Yeah.
And that's just Disney Plus. And it's $12.99. It includes Hulu and ESPN streaming, I think.
See, I don't watch any sports.
But I'm saying you get the Hulu. That's
true. And apparently I get The Mandalorian too and other stuff. But nothing from Loeb. So
no. Apparently you won't be.
He is persona non grata, and so is all of his work. So yeah, what have I been doing in the meantime? Oh, I put up my Christmas lights.
It's not even Thanksgiving yet.
Yeah. I know, but I just needed the emotional boost.
Oh,
I'm very needy right now. So I put up Christmas lights. My cat's looking at me like I'm crazy. One of them thinks that I've put up a whole new set of toys for him to play with at night, which is just lovely. It's literally nothing anybody would be interested in, except for maybe writing a little bit of my book, but nobody's going to see that until next year. So, just being absolutely boring.
My cat will live in the Christmas tree when it grows up.
I've had my cats. I had my cat climb into the Christmas tree once, and we found out why, because there was a mouse nest in the tree that we had cut down and brought into the house, and that was fun when we found the mice. So yeah.
Yeah, no, it's nothing to do with that. She'll hide under it. She'll climb onto the first couple of branches, and because we have a fake tree, and we quickly learned with her you can't hang anything breakable near the bottom.
Oh yeah, no, they will go straight for the antiques first. Somehow they'll miss like even the most breakable of the store-bought Walmart specials, but they'll go straight for like the glass ornament that your grandmother had handed down to her from her, great-great-grandmother from the 1700s. That'll go first.
Yes, very. Yeah, they can sense what you care about the most.
Which just goes to show, cats have wonderful, exquisite taste, and they're still assholes.
There's no accounting for taste. So yeah, what have I been up to? Yeah, not Christmas decorating well, no, I can't say that. My wife did do a little bit of Christmas shopping already, but that's, she's always shopping for our granddaughters, so.
Christmas shopping? I can't say anything. I'm already 75% done.
Oh my God. What'd you get me?
Oh, man.
Silence.
It's 74% done.
Let's see. Like the rest of the world, I watched The Mandalorian. I went through everything else on Disney Plus, and actually watched The World According to Jeff Goldblum, which is very interesting so far. There's 2 episodes of that on it.
And by interesting, do you mean like drug inducing or what? I mean, like, what do you Jeff Goldblum?
He's a weird guy. So like the first episode was all about sneakers. So, okay, have you watched The Toys That Made Us on Netflix?
No.
Like the 3rd season just came out this week. Okay. So
3rd season of something I've never heard of before. Okay, yeah.
You've never heard of The Toys That Made Us?
Nope.
Oh my God, and you call yourself a nerd.
No, I call myself a human being who has like very limited amount of time. If I had a TARDIS, maybe I'd be able to see all this shit, but
no, you need to go watch The Toys That Made Us. Anyway, so it's like he looked at sneakers and shows you aspects of, like, there's a whole culture around sneakers I didn't even realize existed.
Oh, that I knew about.
And he goes to a sneaker convention where people are buying these rare sneakers for like millions of dollars. And I'm like, what?
Yep.
And then he talks about, the beginnings of sneakers and where they came from, how the culture's been built up around it. And then he goes to a place and gets a custom pair of sneakers made. It's interesting. You learn some stuff, and it's a weird journey along the way. And then the second episode's all about ice cream. So, yeah, it
sounds like a cross between Penn and Teller and Clarissa Explains It All.
Yeah, maybe. That might be a way to put it. But
with Jeff Goldblum, because nothing is like Jeff Goldblum. There's no simile or metaphor for Jeff Goldblum.
No. But the one thing that I wanted to say, and I know there's like every Marvel movie, all the Star Wars movies, all the cartoons, but like, I don't know, like, I kind of a little disappointed with the lack of some of the original content with the launch of Disney Plus.
Well, considering the amount of material they could put on there, you would think that it would be one of those never-ending, click, click, click. You can't stop because just one more click just to see that.
Well, that's the whole thing. It's like
next ad or something.
That's the whole thing, right? Like, it goes back to what you were just saying about having free time. Like, every freaking Disney movie you can think of is on this thing. Every TV show you can think of is on this thing. But you have to like sit down and go, you know what? I'm going to commit 2 hours to watch The Shaggy Dog or, The Absent-Minded Professor, or any of the old weird Disney movies. You have to be in the mood to sit down and do it. And I just haven't been there yet.
Well, there's also the fact that you're not 8.
Well, that's true, but I tried. Started watching Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends again, and I went.
That one I would go back to, except that I'm sure rewatching it would be kind of disappointing.
Yes, the nostalgia factor went away quickly, and I'm like, wow, this isn't as good as I remembered it.
Well, no, it wasn't. I mean, it'd be like going back to try and watch the Super Friends. I mean, yeah, you have this like light, fuzzy, cool factor from, when you were a kid, but you go back and watch it, and the dialogue is just, compared to the children's shows of today, it's downright insulting. It looks like it was like written by a mentally deficient computer.
I honestly, yes. You know what? I honestly think, and there are still cartoons today that do this, but not as many. I do think when we were kids, they did talk down to us more. We didn't realize it.
Oh, they always talked. Of course they talked down to us. This was one of the problems with anime back in those days, where, kids can't handle anything. So you'd get an anime that was chopped to hell, that had, that they would bridge with like original American animation, and it looked horrible.
Yeah.
And you only got half the story, and stuff like, in Sailor Moon, lesbians became just really good friends. And it's just, they talk down to us, definitely.
Yes. Really good friends. Oh,
or the rice cakes became donuts in what was it, Pokemon.
Oh my God, that's right.
Yeah, just a simple, stupid thing like, oh, it's a rice cake. No, it's a donut. Okay, when the hell was a donut ever wrapped in seaweed? I don't know. Come on.
Yeah, that is weird. And I understand it's like, they're thinking American kids aren't going to eat rice cakes, but you shouldn't be feeding your kids donuts too much either.
Right. But the thing was that, even so with anime, at least when they brought it over, there was, they couldn't they literally couldn't suck all the life out of it.
No.
But with American stuff, the American stuff started from the preposition that the American kids are stupid and will eat lead glue if they were handed a tube. So, let's give them a moral and then, basically use a plunger to stuff it down their throat.
Yeah.
Because God forbid anything should be any more subtle than don't do drugs.
Well, thankfully I've never done drugs because of the cartoons.
The drugs made you say that, right?
Shh. They can hear you.
Yeah. So let's go to, that's good. Let's go to social media so that when JD gets on, you can both talk down to me about how I should be watching Mandalorian.
Well, okay. So the funny thing is that he's not here, and he said, go ahead and start without me so I can skip over social media madness. But I only brought out one thing this week.
Master plan, and it wasted it.
Exactly. And all it is, so I wanted to talk about, of course, we have our Facebook page, facebook.com/Superhero Speak, but we also have a group, which is the Superhero Speak Hangout. And we have a lot of fans and friends interacting on there. We have D Square always puts his latest episode of his podcast on there. And we have Christopher Edward, who's a fan of the show, had posted, he has a Kickstarter going on he wants people to know about. He's doing his own graphic novel called Six Swords, and he's got Volume 1, a Kung Fu Western graphic novel on Kickstarter. And he's, hoping people will check it out and support it. He's almost fully funded. So people are listening to this. There'll be 5 more days when this goes up. So go check it out. Again, look for Six Swords, Volume 1 on Kickstarter, and give Christopher some support. It's funny because it's very reminiscent of The Mandalorian.
Quick question.
Yes.
After all that discussion about cancel culture, we didn't get any feedback about that? I would have thought we would have gotten taken to task, at least a few times about raked over the coals, told we were stupid, something. I mean, my God, this is the internet.
No, that's the funny thing. No one really responded to that.
They're probably all not touching that with a 10-foot pole.
I got a private message from a friend of mine who listens to the show, but since he didn't share it on social media, I'm not gonna, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if he wants me to share his thoughts on the show. So, but other than that,
yeah.
Other than that, we really didn't get any feedback about that side of it. Other than JD ranting last week. Because he's good at that.
I like to rant and show up when I damn well please.
Yes.
See, you say the word rant and he shows up. It's amazing. It's like Beetlejuice, only you only have to say it once.
It's like Shazam. It's like a lightning bolt.
But yes, getting back to what I was talking about, Christopher describes it as very much Lone Wolf or what's the Clint Eastwood movie?
Any Which Way But Loose?
Is that the one?
No, that's
the one with the monkey. the Western.
The only good one.
Like you were talking about, The Mandalorian is based on.
Fistful.
Fistful, yes. Right. So the comic is very reminiscent of that. So what I'm saying is go check that out on Kickstarter. And if you haven't already done it, join our group, Superhero Speak Hangout on Facebook, where you can talk about the show and other nerdy things that interest you. It's a good place to promote things that you're working on and get people's feedback. And yeah. And other than that, make sure you follow us on Twitter at Superhero Speak and Instagram at Superhero Speak. And while you're at it, also follow some other great shows. The Pop Prison Power Podcast, Cult 45, Fans on Patrol, Gorilla Brain Podcast, and who am I forgetting? No, Superhero Speak. That's us. That's 5 of us. And we, of course, are the Geek World All-Stars. All-Stars. So check out hashtag GW All-Stars on Twitter and check out all those great shows. And
Dave, were you talking about the Six Swords Kickstarter?
Yes.
Chris Master, I'm sorry. That's a good book. I got to read an earlier version of it when it was on Kickstarter. I think it was about a year or two ago. That's really, really good. I put my own money into this. I'm excited to see. Chris is a really good writer. I love the art style. It's like Magnificent Seven Samurai type of thing.
Yes.
Like I'm super happy you're out there shelling for him because he's talented.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, if you want to promote something, that's what I was trying to say. Share it in the group, and we'll talk about it on the show if we feel it's worthy sharing. So yeah, and JD, you came in just in time for a commercial break. So
Sweet.
We'll take a break, and we'll be right back.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
And we're back. All right, and JD's raring to go. Got a lot to talk about this week, so let's just jump right into the news. And kicking it off, Marvel has announced that they are finally, I don't know if that's the right word to say it, giving Nebula her own comic book, and it is being brought to us by Vita Ayla and Claire Rowe, who I'm not familiar with either of their work, but of course, obviously with the success of the movies, that's why she's getting her own book. What do you guys think? Personally, I don't think she's a strong enough character to carry a title.
I'll always go, it depends on what the writer sees for the character. Like if they have a story in mind, I'm interested. I don't know where to go with it personally, so I'll hold judgment. I hope this is more generated from a writer having an idea, more so than Marvel saying, all right, Nebula was big in the movies, Karen Gillan's popular, give us a comic.
That's what I was going to say, because, I mean, basically, does that character work on her own? I mean, you hear about a lot of characters, like they did this with New 52, right, where they had a bunch of, comics with single characters in them, and it didn't quite work out, and they dropped a lot of them really quickly.
Yeah, I mean, like, if they had announced a Gamora Nebula team-up book,
Yeah.
I probably would jump on that and check that out, but Nebula by herself, I don't get it.
She needs a foible, right? So a foil.
Yeah, I would think.
Somebody to. She's got foil. She needs a foil.
I assume they're going to give her one. Like,
yeah. They're going to make her a hero of some kind?
Have to. She's got to at least be an anti-hero.
I'd say anti-hero. Anti-hero would make it interesting. That would be easier to write, too.
I don't know. Did you see the Joker movie yet, JD?
You know the answer to that question.
All right. So I guess we'll have to wait to learn more about what the book's going to be about before we can really pass judgment. But I do.
We can pass judgment anyway.
I do pass the question off to our listeners. What do you guys think? Is Nebula a book by herself? Does that interest you? Yes or no? So, all right. The other, I'd see. Again, I'm a big fan of this character from the comic books. I have been for years, and I am happy to announce that Falcon.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Squirrel Girl. Go ahead.
Will have a comic accurate costume in the upcoming Falcon and Winter Soldier TV show. And I saw the images. Did you guys have a chance to look at it? I think it looks really good.
Have not had a chance.
Okay, but why? I mean, seriously, why does he need the comic accurate costume? Because I thought they were doing well with the semi-accurate yet more realistic costumes.
He's the only one that hasn't really had it. Him and, Hawkeye. But I mean, Hawkeye in the more modern books only wears sunglasses anyway, with a heads-up display. But other than that, they're the only two that really haven't gotten a comic accurate costume in the movies.
But did they really need them? I mean,
yes.
Again, they could just go with the more realistic, yet, still colored and kind of shaped like.
But he didn't even have it, it's not even in his what he was wearing wasn't even in his colors. It's just like a green khaki, military kind of outfit.
Well, okay, so let's make them bright red so everybody can lock onto the target easier. Okay.
They didn't go with bright red, though.
Well, isn't that what I saw in the picture?
There's red in the costume, but it's not I don't know. I like it. Damn it!
I'm just trying
to get my goat. I know it. You're trying to ruin this for me. It's one of my favorite characters. Damn it!
I mean, I know they have the exact costume in the was it the animated series that's been out, but. Still, this is the live actions are supposed to be different,
I will say this, and maybe JD's got an answer to this. I never got the half mask thing.
I'm playing catch up at the moment.
Oh,
okay.
Oh,
where the top of the head's exposed.
Oh, Falcon, we're talking about. Yeah, I don't get it either. I don't know if this is necessary, to be quite honest with you. I mean, yeah, it looks a little bit more accurate. I don't know. I guess I got to see it in action.
Yeah. All right.
Well, I guess, whatever.
I guess it's just me and the 5 other Falcon fans that are happy about this.
Probably.
I think I'm one of the only people that I know that owned the miniseries from when it first came out.
I mean, I don't know if I'll mind it, but it just seems like it becomes more of a quote-unquote costume than it is a uniform,
Yeah, but you can argue that about Captain America's costume.
No, his was made of Kevlar and I mean, it wasn't really a costume. And they had 2 different versions of it. The one from World War II, and then the updated one, and they switched between them a couple of times. But
if you
never
pay
looked like
attention,
a costume.
If you pay attention, they slightly changed the costume in every movie.
Yeah, but the thing is that after he got off of the selling bond circuit, it became not a costume but a uniform, and it looked like it was serviceable, not just bright colors and whatever. So they did that, and they've done that with all the rest of the Marvel characters in the movies in the MCU. So they don't really need to do the costumes just for fan service, because it doesn't make sense in the continuity they've created.
I just want to point out, John pronounced the word right.
I hesitated for the second there, and then I heard JD in my head going, "You're gonna murder that word, aren't you? So I said it right.
So 5 points for Gryffindor. All right. Fine. Let's move on then. So it's been confirmed that Runaways will end on Hulu with the current season, which is season 3, which is part of Jeff Loeb's exit from Marvel TV.
Yeah.
Are you watching Runaways, John?
No, it's not. It's yet another one that I never got to. I'm too busy with Cloak and Dagger, the Netflix shows, all of the CW shows, writing a book now, and I just couldn't get around to that.
We watched it. I liked the first 2 seasons, but I didn't love them. I like the comic better. So if this is time for it to go, I'm okay with it. They've strayed so far from the comic anyway at this point that whatever.
Oh, they said they were going to give it a good send-off. Like a proper send-off, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I also kind of wonder, I understand they're kind of dissolving that version of Marvel TV,
and by dissolving, you mean dumping it in a vat of acid and then burying it in the back of some abandoned factory. I mean...
But I kind of wonder, and I know it's different because it's not network TV, it's Hulu, but if they had, millions of viewers, would they just end it? I don't know.
Well, didn't the Netflix shows have millions of viewers? I thought the viewership on there was...
Yeah.
And don't forget that The Gifted also got killed off too, right?
Yes.
They keep leaving that out of the lists, but The Gifted got killed off as well. I don't think that was a low one though. I'm not sure.
There was a low one if they were involved, right? Oh wait, no, that was the Fox thing.
Yeah.
Does Legion still exist?
No, I think they ended Legion as well.
Yeah. Legion got canceled after season 2.
Yeah, it's all going away.
Cloak and Dagger got killed off.
Yeah, because they tied Cloak and Dagger into the Netflix shows.
Did they?
Yes, it was one of the cops from, I think, Luke Cage.
Yes,
was the cop on Runaways, and it's the same character. And they do talk about the Netflix characters on Cloak and Dagger. So there was a loose tie-in, how that stuff is, but.
So is this because Feige doesn't like anything that's rated R? His soul is completely owned by the mouse?
No, they're doing a whole new Hulu shows that are going to lean a little bit more. They're doing a Hellstorm show and a Moon Knight show. Those are going to be harder. I just think he just wants his stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's more about control of the brand and total control of the brand as opposed to, not liking what he did, but
half-ass control of the brand.
Is this where I should mention that monocultures tend to usually die out after a while?
I don't know.
I mean,
largest movie franchise in history. I don't know if it's going to be dying out anytime soon.
Well, true that. I mean, there is something to be said about a nation that can be, there's a difference between a king and a democracy in how fast a nation can move. But still, it seems like, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And Feige is basically getting rid of anybody that seems to challenge anything that he does. And we're getting what we want now, but I worry about what we're missing because of it. And, I worry about what happens in the future when he decides to do something stupid and he's left nobody to sit there and say, don't pull a Star Wars.
I don't know. I feel Perlmutter has something to do with it as well.
I think you're right.
With how things went down, because he's another one where he wanted to control things as well, and he didn't want to play with Feige. So it's on both sides. That's the whole thing.
With Loeb too?
Well, Loeb
he's a fall guy.
Yeah, he's the fall guy. He reported to Perlmutter, so it's and then Disney went, well, no, since you guys won't play well together, we'll just give everything to Feige because he made us more money.
spectacular.
He did make them a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah.
So, I mean, I don't necessarily fault him. I think it's just the way everything went down. And I don't know, he can't do everything. You know what I'm saying? He's got to have people below him that he trusts on this stuff.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, except that now they know that as soon as they do something he doesn't like, or if they disagree with him, they're gone.
But again, I don't think Feige's firing Loeb. I think Disney is canceling everything he did, so he's being phased out. There's a big difference.
Yeah, I'll give you that. I mean, what was it? I thought I read that Loeb had started to. Well, I don't know. I think it's because of Feige. I mean, but Loeb had decided to leave before Feige was promoted. It's just
right. But I think he also saw the writing on the wall coming. He's not an idiot. He don't have a successful career like he has waiting around for the hammer to fall. You know.
Yeah, the writing has been on the wall for this since the split.
Yeah.
That was like, I think after the first Avengers movie.
Right.
Was the Feige power grab. The well-deserved Feige power grab, actually, because screw Perlmutter.
True.
Well, okay then.
But
well, that's the guy that would walk around counting pencils and stuff like that. I mean, like he's a. I don't want to get into it, but John, we'll put it this way: you would not like him.
Oh, okay. Then everything's fine. Then I'm. It's like, no. I mean, okay. I mean, like I said, we're getting what we want now. I worry about it, but
look at it this way: all things are bound to suck eventually. Enjoy it while they're good.
Oh, true.
Yeah, I mean,
it still does make me sad that all of these series got killed because of this, and some of them were really good. Cloak and Dagger was really good. I was hoping for a third season, and I don't know about The Gifted, but my God, Daredevil and was it The Punisher and
I think if
Power Man? I mean,
I think if there's enough grumbling online and continued interest in those properties, they'll come back in some way.
I imagine they're not going to not do something with that, especially Daredevil eventually.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, the deal they have with Netflix is they can't do anything for, 2 or 3 years after it was canceled, so we still got a little while to wait. And John, you're talking about things that were successful versus things that weren't successful, and monolithic views being controlled by one person. It kind of reminds me of Snyder and the DCEU.
Yeah, see, now this is what I worry about. Of course, Snyder is obviously not as good as Feige at this stuff.
Yes, but the Snyder Cut is the thing that just wouldn't die.
You know what? I'm with them at this point. It seems like they're just going to put the damn thing out so people be quiet. I wonder how much they're going to have to spend to do this.
Yeah. So obviously, if those who haven't heard over the weekend, both Ben Affleck and Gal Gadot have dropped their hats into the ring to support releasing the Snyder Cut of the Justice League movie.
Yay, we're going to get something incredibly dark and, very, very hard to follow.
And one of the former DC execs that were there when the movie was made, I think, not DC, Warner Brothers execs, has Diane Nelson has basically put her hat in the ring to support this as well. So, yeah, I think it's going to happen. Now, here's the question. Are we going to get a complete movie, or are we going to get a Donner Cut Superman 2 kind of a thing?
I think we're going to get a Donner Cut Superman 2 kind of a thing. Because they're not going to go back to reshoot this. That would be stupid.
No, and they're not going to put a lot of money in to finish all the special effects either, probably.
No, I imagine they'll do something specifically for a Blu-ray/digital release. And they'll probably make a couple, but they'll probably make some money on it. Because, you're not going to spend a lot. You don't have to spend a lot of advertising.
I think
the people who want this thing are going to get it.
I think a rumor that I heard, and again, grain of salt, this is just a rumor. It could be a fan wish, is that it'll end up on HBO Max.
Could be. I can see that.
Yeah.
You know what? I would not surprise me if HBO Max puts in some money to get this thing done, just so they have some more content for their platform.
And
that could be why we're seeing a resurgence of this.
Right, and can you imagine all the people who would at least subscribe for a month just to watch this?
I may.
Yeah.
Just to see, sheer morbid curiosity, and I do want to watch Watchmen eventually, so.
Yeah. Interesting.
Seriously morbid curiosity.
It is. I know it's not going to be good, but I mean, like, I don't know. It's like the Donner Cut of Superman 2. Like, you look at it just to see what could have been.
Right. Well, and that also makes you wonder, though, if it comes out and it's worse than the version that we got, what do you think? How do you think fans are going to react to that, especially the ones who want this so badly?
It's already better. This thing is so tribalized that no matter what, they're going to put it out, and the fans are going to love it. Like, the people who want it, they're not going to see the flaws in it.
Yeah.
Yes, they are. I mean, I saw the Donner Cut, and I saw the flaws in it.
You're a reasonable person.
Yeah.
Hold on here. Whoa.
I'm comparing him to the Snyder Cut people. I mean, like, it's a low bar. But
yeah, true. Anybody who wants the Snyder Cut thing is already starting at a disadvantage.
We're talking about people that loved Man of Steel and Superman versus Batman. Those were not good movies.
No.
They were objectively not good.
They were caca-poo-poo.
I swear, especially with Batman v Superman, they want, here are visuals that we want to hit, write a story around it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like,
it was less coherent than a Michael Bay film.
Ooh, cut deep, man.
We did get Holly Hunter drinking urine for some reason.
I mean, you could even go as low as, hey, Uwe Boll had better production values.
Huh?
No, I don't think they have better production values. Like, the production values of the movie are fine. That wasn't the issue. Like, it was everything else was caca-poo-poo.
Well, the dialogue was about that low.
Caca-poo-poo. The story, everything was just, it was not good. Like, Zack Snyder, I will do it in my grave saying Zack Snyder does not understand superheroes.
But he understands caca-poo-poo.
Have you seen his movies?
Yes.
He's fluent in the art of caca-poo-poo.
So did your son learn a new word today?
No, I think I'm going to teach him. I think I'm going to teach him tomorrow and get in trouble at home.
Speaking of things that could possibly be caca-poo-poo.
I like that you struggled on the segue, but still managed to nail it. Good job.
We have a new TV show in the works based on the Sin City comic books. And Frank Miller just inked a deal to do this. So, what do we think? Did we get enough with the movies that came out, or?
I don't know. It could be interesting.
I think we saw what was interesting. Like, they gave us. Didn't the first movie give us all the Sin City we really wanted?
I thought so. Like, and that's exactly, that's why I wanted to talk about it. Like, the first movie, I think, told the whole story, at least what people care about from the comics. So, who are they making this for?
Frank Miller fans?
Snyder people?
I mean, you're not wrong. That Venn diagram.
I'll take that bet. I fully agree. The Venn diagram has a lot of overlap.
Especially, like, okay, so Frank Miller, Sin City, highly stylized. It's a noir. It's black and white with splashes of color. It's done in a very specific style. And it works in an hour and a half to 2 hour movie once. But to get it over and over again, I think it's boring, you know?
That's why nobody saw the second one.
Right. A Dame to Kill For, right?
Yeah, Dame to Kill For. And it's 15 years after the fact. Like, I really enjoyed the first Sin City when I was in my early 20s and, immature. I think that, what else do we have to say?
I mean,
I actually would be interested to see it, but it'd have to be some pretty spectacular writing and have some kind of overarching story to make it work. Otherwise,
it doesn't.
Was that?
They don't. Like, the Sin City stories are kind of
I know that's the thing.
They are.
Well, they'd have to pull a what are they doing now? Oh God, Dr. Manhattan. Damn it.
Watchmen.
Yeah, they have to pull a Watchmen.
And I don't know. Well, I still don't know if it works for Watchmen because I haven't seen it yet. But I don't know if this is the property to do that with. I don't know. This, in other words, Hollywood is out of ideas.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're looking at the bottom of the barrel and they say, "Give me a hammer. I need to take this bottom up so I can get what's under it."
Yeah, and it's not like there aren't other good properties out there that can be turned into TV shows and movies. They just aren't going for them.
No, they want something safe. And then, I hate to derail, but I'm going to derail.
Okay.
Did you guys see, because it does relate to comics just slightly. Did you guys see that Charlie's Angels failed?
Yes.
Oh, hell yeah, but I heard it was boring as hell.
Well, it didn't look that good, but I guess Elizabeth Banks made some comments like, well, you guys have had 37 Spider-Man movies, and she sounded a little upset about it. But I think it was more of a problem of the marketing and that it didn't look great. But this is what we keep doing though. They had a TV show probably about 6-7 years ago. They tried to reboot Charlie's Angels. It didn't work. And they had 3 movies before that did work. And I think people just want something else.
Well, this was interesting because I did read an article where the movie company cut the advertising budget on the movie before it came out because they had no faith in it, right? And
good job.
And the thing is, I've been trying to figure out who they made this movie for, because in 2000, when the first movie came out, it's a property that's based on a show from the 70s that in 2000 is kind of tone deaf to society at that point. And now it's really tone deaf in 2019, I think.
Well, yeah, but even the way they did it, like when they did it in the 2000s, it was camp. They were kind of making fun of it.
It's big time camp. It is making fun of it in a lot of ways. The fact that they get the original guy who did the voice in the show to be Charlie, and you get what's his face to be Bosley, Bill Murray. Right.
They had 2 different Bosleys. It was Bill Murray, and then the second one was, what was it, Kevin Hart or something?
No, it's
Don Cheadle.
No.
Thank you, John.
Bernie Mac. It's Bernie Mac, and he's his adoptive brother. He's the first Bosley's adoptive brother in the second movie. And
here's the thing, too.
Well, wait, hold on. And then I find out that it's not a reboot. It's actually a sequel to those movies.
Yeah, I heard that they had pictures of it of each cast of Charlie's Angels posing with their Bosley, but their Bosley is supposedly the same person or something crazy like that. I don't know.
No, they explain the Bosleys retire or whatever and get replaced, and so do the Angels, and it keeps going and going, and it's just like,
is that a play on like the 007 myth?
I think it probably is, but then it's like, but again, who is this movie made for? Like in 2019, who does a Charlie's Angels movie appeal to? It's just, here's a IP that made money before, so let's make money again with it.
Yeah, you're right. I agree. I think that's a big problem. I think that's why they cut their losses with the marketing, because they couldn't figure out who they're marketing to. I think problem 2 is that in 2000, we have a very different studio system than today. Charlie's Angels, it was a star vehicle.
Right.
Yeah,
yes, it was. Very much so.
And this is, Kristen Stewart's not not anymore, really, a box office star. Like, she's a name, but I can't tell you who the other 2 are.
No, not at all. And it's like, and then when I read, Elizabeth Banks not only is Bosley in the movie, she wrote the movie, directed it, and is the executive producer. So it's like,
it's hers.
It's her movie.
Yeah.
But why? Did she have this incredible Charlie's Angel story she felt like she had to tell?
Well, I think she probably loves it and wanted to do it because she's had a lot of success with those Pitch Perfect movies.
Yeah.
So I think they were trying to market. I think the idea was to bring that audience in.
But that audience is completely different, and they lost that audience with Pitch Perfect 3.
Yeah, because you go to the well too many times. I think you're right. But I think that was what they were hoping for. And she's like, "Oh, the men don't want to see women in action movies." And I'm like, we spent a good amount of time talking about Captain Marvel on our podcast.
Well, we want to see them in good action movies.
Right.
Kill Bill.
Kill Bill's great.
Exactly.
That's like, okay, here's a perfect example. Terminator 2, and now they had the new one come out.
Dark Fate.
That bombed.
It bombed, but I've heard from everyone who's seen it that I trust that it was really good.
But I think it's for the same reason, though. It's like people are just tired. Like Terminator, I think we talked about this before, but I think Terminator, they tried to reboot 3 times, and every time
exactly
the market says we don't want this.
What I'm saying is,
I think the Terminator Dark Fate thing was more along the lines of you had Terminator 3 bomb, Terminator 4 really, really, really bomb,
Terminator 5.
What's that?
There was Terminator 5. This is Terminator 6, technically.
What was Terminator 5?
Terminator 3 was the one with the blonde female Terminator. Then they did one with Christian Bale.
Salvation.
Right. Yeah, so they had a couple of really bombs.
And then the one with the dragon, the mother of dragons, whose name I can't think of.
Yeah. Genesis.
Yeah. And every time, the market doesn't want, like, we were very happy with Terminator 2. It's damn near a perfect action movie.
Right.
Well, yeah, but the thing was Genesis bombed so badly that a lot of people didn't think that they'd want to go see this.
Yeah, you're right. Same with Bumblebee. Bumblebee was supposed to be a pretty good movie, but
it was.
It is.
Awesome.
It's actually a really good Transformers movie.
But it did bad because Last Night, or whatever that was called, was dog shit.
And that's the problem, is that they keep going back to these wells even after the wells dried up.
Well, they're just basically letting anybody put their let's try to beat this analogy here. They're letting anybody with a bucket to go to use the well. But it's like they could if they just let people with the good buckets go use the well, they would be fine.
I was going to say, because
the market is saying they don't want these reboots.
Right, the market's saying they don't want the reboots. People are trying to turn around and say they don't want female action stars, but I sit there and argue, and I'm like,
oh yeah, that's not true.
It's like, okay, Aliens, Terminator 2, Star Wars with Princess Leia, like, no, we like female action heroes, we just want them done well.
Yeah. Say what you want about Last Jedi, it made money.
Yes.
Like, the new Star Wars movies have made money. Captain Marvel made money. Black Widow's going to come out in the spring. It's going to make money. No one wanted this Charlie's Angels movie.
Right. Yeah. Ugh.
You can't really hit on the reboots too much because I don't know anybody who's heard about it who doesn't want to see the new Ghostbusters movie coming out next year.
You're right. Right now it's got some good buzz going to it, but we'll see how we are in a year.
Yeah, well, exactly. Well, this one, I think we have to keep an eye on for 2 reasons. I don't think, let's be honest, that Ghostbusters reboot wasn't good.
No, it wasn't.
I've made the argument.
The dialogue was horrible.
I made the argument plenty of times. You get 4 of the funniest women from movies, put them in a movie that's not funny. It's like, it didn't work. Mm-hmm. But there's something with this new Ghostbusters movie is the nostalgia factor because the original cast is all back.
That and Paul Rudd. Paul Rudd has a ton of good. Paul Rudd has a lot of interest accrued in him.
Yeah.
So I think that you make him the star. Now you go back to you got to go back a little bit to star vehicles again. Because I mean, for a long time, Hollywood has put all their eggs into the franchise basket as opposed to making star vehicles. And I think that this Ghostbusters movie is doing their foot in both ponds a little bit. You've got that nostalgia factor, you've got the blockbuster thing, but then you've also got a proven star.
Yeah. Speaking of squeezing franchises for all they're worth.
And pimples.
Oh, come on.
So
I was hoping you wouldn't do that.
So everyone else on the planet but John has seen The Mandalorian.
Dude, I saw it.
Last week.
Where did you make time? What'd you do? Clone yourself?
Episodes 1 and 2.
I took
Shadow
a break.
Clone Jutsu.
And of course, everyone's talking about it on social media. So of course, Alan Horn over at Disney said, "Oh, we might get a Mandalorian movie." Is it too soon to be talking about a Mandalorian movie, or is it just?
Yes, it's way too soon. But I think he's smart to stoke the fires like that.
Yeah,
he's getting more people. Like you say that, people go, "Oh, really? Now I definitely got to watch this show."
Yeah, that is true. I didn't think of it that way. Oh.
Free advertisement. Alan Horn's a smart man.
Yes.
Did you guys see that Disney Plus had 10 million subscribers the first 24 hours?
Yep.
No, because you couldn't get into it to see that.
I will say this. Okay, so full disclosure, it's actually my daughter and son-in-law who got the Disney Plus subscription, and they made a profile for me. And
you're stealing. You can't admit to that in a public forum.
Why not?
Mouse assassins.
So
forget the mouse assassins. They'll get the mouse lawyers. They're worse.
Jitsu.
We share stuff with them all the time. In fact, we shared our Netflix with them for the longest time until they got their own. So.
Jesus, Dave. Now you're gonna get now the lawyers are really out to get you.
But I will say this. Yeah, like, it took forever for me to log in at first. And then after I watched The Mandalorian, I'm like, oh, I'm going to watch A New Hope. I hit play and my Roku crashed. So, yeah, they were having a lot of issues the first couple of days.
No. If you saw, they do these things called heat maps. Do you guys know what they are?
I know what it is, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you know what a heat map. So basically, a heat map is, it shows, like, in a geological area, it shows you, in red how much activity or badness there is, basically, or how, in this case, how many reports they're getting of, no connection or can't log in or something. And at one point, it looked like all of North America, and for some reason, just Sweden on fire.
Well, they
and a little dot in England. Apparently, England doesn't care about Disney Plus.
From my understanding, I think in Sweden is where they launched it like 2 weeks early for beta testing. And then
Okay, so there were a lot of people that wanted to sign in, and there was a little bit of red there, but basically all of North America was on fire. Like there were so many people. There were so many people that were calling in or reporting issues. Nobody could get in.
Yeah, oh yeah. No,
I've got Heavens on Fire stuck in my head now, but like Sweden. Sweden's on fire. Sorry.
No. Add ABBA to that if you got Sweden.
I know, but just the Kiss popped in my head for some reason. So I waited a week, just because I've been busy, and we just played it this weekend. I have not seen an issue.
Yeah.
So I think that Disney seemed to work it out. But I mean, I don't know. Like, it seems like you launched something that big, and they might have overperformed their expectations, to be honest with you. So they might not have been able to handle it.
Yeah, I honestly think they outperformed what they thought they were going to do. So everyone loves the mouse or else.
No. Everyone loves Baby Yoda.
Shh. Spoilers. John hasn't watched it yet.
John's on social media. He knows.
We'll get to that in a second. One last news story.
That. Thank you.
One last news story related to Jon Favreau and Star Wars and remakes that nobody's asking for. Jon Favreau has said he is serious. He would like to do another Star Wars holiday special.
Oh my God.
Oh, by the way, I think as we're recording this, it's Wookiee Life Day.
Oh, happy Wookiee Life Day.
Happy Wookiee Life Day.
Wasn't like the first Star Wars holiday special responsible for like Earth 36 getting destroyed?
I know it's responsible for George Lucas destroying a lot of VHSs.
Oh my God!
They grab them and bury them right next to was it Atari ET
game
in the desert?
So for those who don't know, back in 1978, only aired once on television. They created a Star Wars holiday special,
which actually happened.
Which was one of the weirdest TV specials ever made.
It had B. Arthur in it.
It's like you got to sell it like this. Like, you imagine Star Wars, this amazing science fiction action adventure thing, and these TV execs get the rights to do it. And what do they think about? You know what we should do? We should make a variety show.
Yes. It all surrounds Wookiee Life Day, and Chewbacca's visiting his family that you never hear of again after this.
It had Wookiee grandpa kind of sex fantasies. Yeah, I know, right?
Jerking off.
Oh my God.
Donna Summer, I believe.
Yes, it was Donna Summer. God. Everybody was in this thing.
Jefferson Starship, Tim Conaway. Like, it is so bizarre.
Yeah, they do the cantina, but the bartender's B. Arthur.
And she puts lyrics to the like they sing that.
Yes.
Oh God.
The only thing that came out of this special that is probably worth saving, and I think if Disney put just the cartoon from that on Disney Plus, that would break the internet too. And of course, the cartoon that introduced Boba Fett to the world He was actually in the cartoon before Return of the Empire Strikes Back came out. So
he's an ally of theirs that betrays them. It's actually a pretty good cartoon.
It is.
How they got put in there, I'll never know.
Remember, this also had Harvey Korman and Art Carney in it.
Yeah.
This was literally a who's who of comedy back then.
Yes.
In Star Wars, and Princess Leia is so coked out at the end.
Oh, God, yes.
Yes. Yeah. But yeah, it was...
Mark Hamill's orange the whole time?
Is he? I don't remember that.
Oh, yeah, his skin tone. He, matches his X-Wing fighter get-up. It's weird, man. Oh, Harrison Ford's pretty damn good at it because he's Harrison Ford.
I wonder if Mark Hamill had gotten sunburn or something right before they did it.
That's what it looks like. It looks like he got he's got Hulk Hogan levels of orange in his skin. It's bizarre.
The only thing I remember crystal clear from this is whip, stir, whip, stir.
Oh, God, yeah, the cooking show.
So, if you're curious and you've never seen it, if you search on YouTube...
If you value your sanity.
If you search on YouTube, you can find this.
Oh, yeah, because Lucasfilm wanted nothing to do with this the second it happened. I'm pretty sure, almost every copy this is floating around is, copied from, the same VHS that was made in Baltimore. It's got Baltimore area commercials on it. Because I bought it in a comic shop in the early 2000s and made myself watch it 2 or 3 times.
You couldn't even find it at Star Wars conventions back in the day. I mean, they had everything. It was hard to find it all.
Oh yeah, because you have to find a pirated version because there's no like I said, George Lucas said that he would, if he had the time and the inclination, he would smash every pirated copy with a sledgehammer.
Personally.
Yeah, personally. And it's realistically, it is people talk about The Last Jedi ruining Star Wars. It's shut up, man. I didn't live through it. I saw it. The Star Wars Holiday Special.
We lived through it.
This is zombie JD.
I chose to watch the Star Wars Holiday Special. I knew it was bad. I didn't know it was that bad.
Yeah. So nobody realizes it till it's too late.
No, it's not even fun bad. It's just bad.
So Jon Favreau wants to do a new one.
I mean, I'm sure he can't do any worse.
Hold my beer, he says. I don't know. What would you do in today's world to do a holiday special for Star Wars? You're not going to do another variety show, right?
Well, variety shows are dead. I mean, a singing competition?
Well, Carol Burnett's still alive.
Carol Burnett is actually a Eternal.
Yes, I know. She's amazing.
So you could do the Cantina again, but instead of be Arthur, you have Betty White.
You could have Betty White. You could have Simon Cowell auditioning people to be in the band.
Oh my God! Oh no! Stop! Don't give them ideas.
Oh, you'd be like the Masked Singer, right? You put a famous singer in some super prosthetics and let them do their thing, and people have to guess who it is.
On live TV.
And then you're like, oh, that Rancor is Lady Gaga. The band that plays the band at the Cantina is actually Morris Day in the Time. Shit, now I want this.
The band from Jabba's Palace?
Yes.
Is Coldplay.
Oh, I don't want Coldplay.
But I like
it.
All right.
That horse-like creature is Sarah Jessica Parker. Oh no, that's just Sarah Jessica Parker. Okay.
You went to the jugular. You got mean. I was having fun. John's out here stabbing
people. All right, guys, look for it coming 2020 on Disney Plus.
Oh my gosh. You have to tweet us about that, people. We want to hear what you want.
Yes.
Yeah, please, Dave, make this part of the Twitter this week.
Yeah, we want to know, what are your ideas for the new holiday special?
I actually kind of want this now.
Oh man.
just for the train wreck.
Yeah, a good TV train wreck. We don't get to see that enough.
No, well, they did Peter Pan.
Was that bad? I didn't watch it. Was it that bad?
Oh yeah. There were a few times where they were completely ad-libbing, and they just did another one. I forget what it was. It wasn't Beauty It wasn't Beauty and the
Little
Beast.
Mermaid?
Oh, Little Mermaid, yes.
I'm sorry. There are people praising that thing. My wife and I were so disappointed because basically they just showed the cartoon, and then when the musical numbers came out they'd have the actors come out, sing the musical number, and then go back to the cartoon. I'm like, what's the point of this?
That's because they did Peter Pan. And they didn't want to have to go through that again.
Like at least have them do some of the acting, it just felt like a waste.
It was safe though.
Well, that's true.
But at that point, what's the point?
All right. So going from really bad Disney stuff to really good Disney. We want to talk a little bit about The Mandalorian that John hasn't watched yet. So John, you can either put your finger.
Could you say it again, please? I don't think everybody caught you.
So, John, you could put your fingers in your ears, or you can sit and listen to us talk a little bit.
I'll listen to you talk. I don't mind if it's spoiled a bit. I'm going to watch it.
So we're 2 episodes in, and basically everyone is saying it is the greatest Star Wars thing since sliced toast.
I didn't know they had sliced toast.
I was going to give you credit for putting a new spin on an old cliche.
Can you imagine having a toast slicer that used
it's a lightsaber. If you slice bread with a lightsaber, it toasts it at the same time.
That's probably a thing. I was going to embrace my millennial roots and say it's the greatest thing since avocado toast.
Oh, okay.
Okay, boomer.
I'm so disappointed that I'm not the first person on this show to use that phrase.
You should be.
I know. I'm very disappointed in me.
You may be the first person to use it right.
That's true. Still, the impact is gone.
All right, JD. So, what did you think?
I like it. I mean, it's a very simple plot. Like, people are raving about it because I think it's the simplicity of it. Like, there's zero subplot. Like, there's very little. Like, I think Jon Favreau wrote this thing in a weekend because there's, no dialogue.
Well, so far.
I mean, I don't think it plays into the character. But I really like it. I love that this feels like, this finally feels like Star Wars, but not Star Wars.
Okay. I get what you're saying, and I think that is the appeal. And
I agree.
This is, so, if you were going to get a spin-off, and it wasn't going to be, and you don't want it tied to the main story like Rogue One or Han Solo, this is what you would want.
Yeah, that's kind of what I think.
Yeah. No, I agree. My only criticism, and I know people are going to say I'm wrong on this, my only criticism, I found the second episode a little boring because of the complete lack of dialogue.
I know, I can see where you're coming from on that, but I mean, it's tricky, and I dig what they're doing. Like, Favreau, he surprised me. He sold this to everybody as a Western, like a fistful of dollars.
Right.
But then at the end of that first episode, he slaps you in the face and says, nope, I'm doing Lone Wolf and Cub.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
So,
you can do no dialogue for entire episodes successfully. If you're like Gennady Tartakovsky and Samurai Jack, they did a lot of episodes like that.
I think that's easier to pull off an animation, though.
Yes.
Maybe. It depends on how good you do it, I guess. I don't know.
And they do it well, and it's a short episode. But yeah, I see where you're coming from.
And in all honesty, I can't fully judge this until I see it in its entirety. But my gut instinct when I see an episode like episode 2 is is this padding out to get to 10 episodes? Versus, no, this is really what we wanted to tell in this episode. I
don't know. I don't think we'll know yet, but I think the point of this episode was to establish the relationship between the Mandalorian and Baby Yoda.
Yes. Oh,
so I think we need
disclaimer. I know a lot of people complain and whatnot. Yes, we know the baby is not Yoda. It's, It's a baby of the same species.
It is not Baby Yoda. It's a Baby Yoda.
There has never been an official announcing of what his species is. So, for lack of a better term, we are going with Baby Yoda. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yes.
Coming soon to Disney Plus, Baby Yoda, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, that's actually coming. By the way, there's no doubt in my mind. This is like Gizmo.
Oh my God! Yeah.
It's Gizmo for my child.
I do wonder when I watch it too, and so they make reference to the child is actually 50 years old. But of course, the idea is that they age much slower because when Yoda dies, he's 800 years old?
900.
900. Yeah, 900 years old, you look as good you will not. So along those lines, like, he's basically a toddler even though he's 50, and it's like that. So
apparently they're slow learners too.
So that way you can continue with the no dialogue. You can have their relationship without them talking to each other.
And I think that works because, like, the whole appeal of Boba Fett, we're getting the Mandalorian is we're getting the fulfillment of the promise of Boba Fett.
Right.
Like, and so I guess these Mandalorians don't talk a whole lot, which I'm fine with. But because neither did the Man with No Name. Like, you didn't watch those Clint Eastwood movies for the witty dialogue.
Right. No, I mean, that's true. I mean, and it's like, you get to see him use his rifle and disintegrate things. Where, there's that line in Empire Strikes Back where Vader looks at Boba Fett and goes, "No disintegrations." He's used the rope thing on his armor already, the shooting out, which he did use in Jedi, I believe.
That was awesome.
Right. So it's like, yes, I get it. It's the fulfillment of Boba Fett.
Without actual Boba Fett?
Right.
Well, quite frankly, The Mandalorian is already, in two half-hour episodes, has shown far more competency than Boba Fett did in 2 films.
Well, this is true.
Boba Fett gets quite overrated just for looking cool.
This one wasn't trained by stormtroopers.
They give you hints into what hints. You don't see nothing, like, as far as like a real thing goes, but you get hints to what a Mandalorian is a little bit. Yeah. Like, it seems to be an assassin culture.
Or a bounty hunter culture.
Bounty hunter culture, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Bounty hunter culture.
Right.
So, yeah.
And so, I mean, and they talk about how he never removes his mask, so you never see who he is underneath.
He's Batman.
Weapons are his religion.
Yeah, weapons are his religion. Like, and that's cool. And I guess that's kind of what you want, right? Like, they don't hit you over the head with a bunch of information about the Mandalorians. They slowly drip things in, which I think is very good. I like the way they're doing that.
That type of exposition is just a killer for me. So I like this. I like them drawing it out a little bit.
So it also makes me wonder too, right? Like, Jango Fett essentially was a Mandalorian, but Boba Fett's a clone of Jango, and thus was he ever really a Mandalorian too? If
he's a clone by I don't know. Well, he was raised by a Boba Fett, Jango Fett.
I wonder if they'll ever delve into that, like, even just mention in passing in the show.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm kind of liking that they're not really doing much with the Star. Like, when you have the big reveal of the underground stormtroopers, it kind of goes, you kind of go, ooh, stormtroopers.
Yeah.
But, I mean, they don't really say this is what's going on, and Werner Herzog is just being Werner Herzog. I don't even know if he knows what the hell he's doing in this movie, but, like, it works because it plays on what you think of the Empire.
I think they do a good job without hitting you over the head again, but establishing that the Empire's fallen, and you have factions of groups of senators and whatnot trying to find ways to stay into power.
When is this happening in the timeline?
5 years after Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Complete chaos then.
Yes.
Yes, exactly. And they try to paint that picture. Like, the other thing I find not annoying, but interesting, and it gets me thinking, is they never tell you really what planets they are on.
I assume we were in Tatooine in episode 2. They never tell you, but I mean, everything seems to...
Exactly.
Between the moisture farms and the Jawas, I'm led to believe this is Tatooine, but they never say this is Tatooine.
Right, exactly. And that makes me wonder, like, are we on Tatooine? They don't mention it. And it's like, does it really matter in the long run? You have enough Star Wars backhand knowledge to assume, because, again, you have Jawas, you have moisture farmers, like, most likely this is Tatooine, but, yeah.
And that's kind of what I like about this is purely a show for the inundated. I don't think anyone who doesn't know Star Wars is going to go out of their way to see this show. And, like, this is completely a show for those that are already in the club.
That's a good question. If you're not a Star Wars fan, could you like this? Could you watch this and understand it and
if they're revealing the mythology in a methodical way,
They're not.
as part of.
They're not revealing any mythology.
Yeah,
So basically, you have to know what's going on in order to understand. Or
No. I don't think it's like that. I think that if you accept the fact that you're in a foreign world, it works, right? Because you don't need to know the Empire fell, because I pretty much get the hint at the end that you're dealing with if you don't know, you're dealing with underworld people.
Yeah.
Like all it is, like the whole thing that gets everything. I can't think of the writing term for it. My brain shot. The action that gets it all started is he gets hired to capture an enemy of the old Empire. But if you don't know that, you could easily be mob people.
Oh, okay.
You know? And then he goes to claim the bounty, and it's Baby Yoda.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, like, there's no shorthand that's used in this that heavily relies on you knowing the Star Wars movies.
No, you could if you know everything, you pick up a lot. But you could know nothing and follow this story. Because the story is so simple. Simple.
That's the whole thing. It's a very simple story thus far.
Yeah. I have to kill this thing. I don't want to kill this thing. Now I have to protect it.
Right.
That's it. That's the whole thing.
Huh. And then, spoiler, John. The IG.
Oh yeah, that's great.
Do they ever say his designation, or does it just...
They say IG, and they just kind of spit out, and I didn't want to go back. I'm not sure if they said 88, but it could very easily be.
Yeah, I mean, and there you go. That's another promise in Empire Strikes Back. They show this cool robot bounty hunter that you never see do anything, and then, oh my god, you get to see him in action in the first episode.
First episode, yeah.
Yeah.
It's cool. Like I said, this is really it's really a show for the Star Wars nerd. But I think if you totally don't know it, you pick up enough.
Yeah, I mean, it's a shame you haven't watched it, John. This is the Star Wars you want.
Yeah, you would like this, John.
Well, I'll watch it. In
fact, I think you stay up tonight and watch the 2 episodes before you go to bed.
No, I have a demo tomorrow. I'm not going to do that.
Oh, screw the demo.
I'll watch it right after the demo. It'll be my come down, my relaxation after that.
All right.
But I think you are going to like it. I really do.
If you don't, there's something wrong with you.
There's already something wrong with me.
Oh, that's true. You're on a podcast with us, so.
I wish we had a whole season. Because, I mean, it's so hard to spend a lot of time talking about what's essentially 74 minutes of television.
But that's the whole, it's like part of me hates it, but at the same time, part of me is like, I get it. Because it brings you back to that, like.
Which we've almost lost. We've almost lost that in this world of media consumption.
It is that talking about it each week in between, you know?
Yeah. It's trying to bring the water cooler thing back.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good, man.
All right. So I would say, obviously we're not going to rate it or anything, but it's definitely a thumbs up for me.
That would be rating it, Dave.
And I highly recommend people who haven't seen it, which it's just you, John, to go out and see it immediately. Would you concur, JD?
I would agree. If you like Star Wars, if you've been disappointed by Star Wars, or if you've loved Star Wars the whole time, you're going to find something about this show you're going to like.
Oh, yeah. I can't...
The only person who doesn't like it is Mark Bernardin, and I'm disappointed in him.
Wait, what? Hold on.
Yeah, he was. Mark Bernardin kind of pooped on it on his Twitter.
What did he say?
He just was not that impressed with it.
Huh.
I want to hear him. I'm going to listen to his podcast this week because I definitely want to hear what he has to say, like what's bugging him about it. Like, and when I think about it, there's not a lot of story going on, and that's fine. I dig that about this. It's so in this era of television and movies and film, like backstory is so important, and like there's so much going on, and this is very different. This really is a throwback to old westerns and samurai movies.
Yeah, I mean, I think in a lot of ways that makes it a relief.
I agree with you. I agree.
The overcomplicated, explain everything, highly technical, blah, blah, blah. Like, sometimes you just want something where you can shut your brain off and just enjoy the visuals and the journey. And it's a simple story, but it's a good story, It's a
very good story.
And it's a story we've seen before, but it's being done in a whole new way, being presented within the Star Wars universe, it's like, yeah, no, it's good.
I like that. Like I said, I'm digging on the fact that it's essentially, like, so far it's been Lone Wolf and Cub, and I wasn't expecting that, and I just think to myself, man, what a great idea, Lone Wolf and Cub in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
Like, I'm very, very into this show right now. What day did the new episodes premiere?
Friday.
Friday?
Yeah.
Bastards.
Yeah, they had the first episode when they launched on Tuesday, and then the second episode's Friday, and they said every Friday going forward will be new episodes. So, which somebody claimed online that they saw episode 3, and I'm like, what? No. Anyway.
Scumbags.
Very much so. Oh, one last thing, and it's a dumb thing, but we probably should bring it up. We might get dinged if we don't mention it. There is a little bit of scuttlebutt online about the show for lack of female representation.
Okay.
But, I mean,
I think he's the one who gives them, so, like, they do this, like, ceremony, would you call it, where they give them the shoulder pad?
Yes.
That's a woman.
That's a woman. There's going to be what's-her-face is going to be in it. Can't think of the actress's name. But, like, we know that she's going to have a big role coming up in the show. So I don't know. I don't know why.
How do we know Baby Yoda's not a girl?
There you go. Right. How do we know half those Jawas weren't girls?
I think Jawas are unisex. They're asexual.
Oh, okay.
They're probably clowns.
I made that up.
Yeah, I mean, and again, it wasn't a big thing, but I did see an article today, and they showed a bunch of tweets where people were complaining about it. But I'm like, yeah, I don't think it's like it's 2 episodes in. Like, I don't think it's that big of a deal. You know, give it a chance. And if not, just go watch Rise of Skywalker with Rey as the main character. You know, so
we'll let this play out because there's like it's one dude in a mask who's playing off a bunch of aliens so far.
Yeah, exactly. Like
there's no human representation.
Right. It's a lone wolf story. Like you got to let it play out. So, all right. Well, that's it on The Mandalorian. Again, we recommend you guys go out and see it. And we're going to wrap up this week with another interview we got from New York Comic Con. John and I got to sit down with Michael Walsh. He is a Canadian comic book writer and artist who is currently working on the Dark Horse DC Comics crossover Black Hammer Justice League. And of course a couple of other books under his belt like Comeback, and he's also worked on Spider-Man, Avengers, and X-Men. So, and what did he work on? Valiant too. I can't remember what book he did over at Valiant. Yeah, but like it was a fun little conversation we had with him. Very interesting guy, and we talked a lot about the Hammer Justice League crossover book. John actually read it before we went to the interview, and he had some questions.
But it's really good.
Oh, it's really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, here is Michael Walsh. So here we are again in the wonderful Dark Horse booth at New York Comic Con. The nicest booth in all of comicdom. They have a nice area to do interviews.
I had to send eyes at the Dark Horse employees over here because it's quite a compliment.
And of course, we're talking with superstar artist Michael Walsh. How are you today?
I'm great. Thank you for asking.
So, was art something you always wanted to do?
Yes. I have said this before in an interview, but people like to hear that anecdote that my mom says I could draw before I could talk. Okay. So, I was not verbalizing what I wanted to do, but I was finger painting Ninja Turtles. So it's something that's always been a part of my life. My parents were great about it. They wanted me to draw. They put me in art camps. I went to university for art. I went to the Ontario College of Art and Design for illustration. And yeah, it's been a lifelong pursuit and dream of mine to draw comic books for a living.
What is it that draws you to comics in particular?
Comics specifically, because I like to tell a story with my art. And I think that comics is maybe one of the best ways to do that in the world, to tell a story, because there is no budget. The only budget on a comic book is your own talent and imagination. So there's no limitation on what you can do in a comic book.
I like that answer.
Yeah.
So you're currently working on I'm not sure if it's the crossover.
Yes.
With Justice League and I want to make sure I got this right. Yeah, Black Hammer.
Yep.
We did get a review copy, and I was kind of curious when you're working with other companies' properties in a book. Do they give you freedom, or do they say you have to use these designs for the characters? Like how does that work?
Because Superman didn't have his current.
It's the classic Superman.
Yeah. I have worked at Marvel and DC, and I've worked on licensed characters like the X-Files and the Ninja Turtles, and every time that you do that, it's a bit of a different experience.
Okay.
So with the DC guys, the DC characters, they just wanted to make sure they were close to the model, but they did give us a lot of artistic license to do our own thing, which, of course, as an artist, I prefer that because not every style works with every costume, and you have to have a little bit of leeway to do things your own way, or it won't work, you know? So because my art focuses not as much on detail, but more on the impressionistic nature of the scene, I like to cut out some of the more detail-oriented aspects of costumes and focus just on the shapes.
Okay.
So, you know, DC was very cool with that. Everybody involved was really happy with how everything came out, and yeah, they were great to work with, and they just wanted to make sure I used like specific parts of the costumes, like Batman has the yellow outline around around his logo, and that was something that we wanted to make sure to integrate into it. But as long as it was generally close, I think everybody was happy.
So then the debate question of all time: do you prefer the trunks?
On Batman or Superman?
Well, on either or.
Yeah.
On Superman, I do prefer the trunks. On Batman, I think it works both ways.
Okay.
And I don't know why, but that's just how I feel.
Well, you're the artist, you get to decide, right?
Yes, yeah. I think visually with Superman, it cuts the blue a little bit because Batman's cape is often over the front of his body. You have a lot more shadows and a lot more shapes that you can work with there. But with Superman, when it's a big blue shape, the red around the crotch cuts that in half and creates two different silhouettes.
See, there you go. That proves you're an artist. I never thought of it that way before.
So I just thought of that right now because I had to find a reason that I thought that way. You know, critical thinking is an important part of the job.
So you have worked on a lot of properties. You've for Marvel, DC, and IDW. I know this is a standard question, but I do like to ask it. Who's some of your favorite characters to work on?
Well, as a kid, I was a huge X-Men fan.
Okay.
That was probably my number one book from ages 5 to 15. I read a lot of comics, but I think I focused mostly on X-Men. As a kid, it was Ninja Turtles. But then as I got to my late teens, I really, really did deep dives on Batman. But one of the characters that I haven't got to work on yet, who I love, is Daredevil. Because I think there's just so many great Daredevil comics throughout the history of the medium, and I haven't ever gotten to draw him in a comic book. I've drawn almost every Marvel character you can think of, and that's just one that has slipped through the cracks.
I actually think your style would work really well with Daredevil.
I think so too. You should talk to somebody for me.
I actually have a couple friends over there.
Okay.
Well, it worked with Weird too, because Weird is just that kind of. I mean, the art, that kind of art brings out how weird it is. Like,
yes, yeah.
How nondescript he is.
I mean, some of the best Daredevil books were what. Oh wow, my mind just went blank.
Frank Miller.
Frank Miller, thank you. Frank Miller did, which again was very impressionistic, stylistic. Yeah. All of his work is, and that they're beautiful books. I could see you doing the same thing.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'll talk to some people.
Yeah.
Where do you see yourself and your art going? Like, obviously, every artist wants to feel like they're improving. What do you look for in yourself to know that you're improving as an artist?
I am constantly trying to improve with every project, and I think that a lot of times you don't see that until the project ends and you decompress, and all the things that you've learned throughout that project kind of absorb into your consciousness, and then the next time you go to draw something, you're like, oh my gosh, I feel like I've leveled up. I'm doing this thing quicker. I'm more considerate of this other thing. And for example, this cityscape is better than anything I've ever drawn, and it's all lessons that you've learned that you didn't realize you were learning. Because when you've got your head down drawing a monthly comic, you're not always conscious of what you're doing. You're just trying to make sure you get it done. You hit your deadline. You're doing the very best work that you can. And then those lessons learned don't creep in until afterwards. But when I look back, I think that you're able to critique your own work better than other people can, because I see flaws in my own old work all the time that I think that readers would never notice, you know?
Right.
It's like when you look at yourself in the mirror and maybe you see a blemish on your cheek, right? Like nobody that you walk by on the street would ever see that, but it's all you can see when you look in the mirror. And then it's the same about art.
Any specific lessons off the top of your head that you learned that might like help a budding artist?
Well, Black Hammer Justice League was the first book that I colored the entire run myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I colored all 5 issues and penciled and inked it. And I learned a lot about what I should be leaving out in the inks and letting the colorist fill in for me, and what I should be drawing and showing so that the colorist doesn't have to go, what the heck is this? What am I coloring here? So I think all of the colorists that I work with in the future will be very happy with my improvements, because most of them have to do with the way that I present work to them. I guess what I would say to somebody else, another artist that is working in comics that I've learned from this and that they could mine from, is that if you have an idea of how something could be, but you leave it out of the page, you have to explain to your collaborators what you would like to see there, because they can't just get into your brain and assume how that color should be or where the edge of this thing is that you left out in the inks.
All right. So the crossover is out now. What's next for you?
I can't tell you. But good things.
I'll just turn this off.
Yeah, I'm doing a lot of cover work right now, following up. So that took about 6 or 7 months to draw Black Hammer Justice League, and I was a little bit burned out on interior work because it is quite grueling, and there's it's a big workload to get done. So I wanted to kind of focus on the graphic elements of storytelling and do some covers for a month or two. So you'll be seeing a lot of cover work come out from me at the end of this year and early next year. And then I can't really talk about my next interior gig right now, unfortunately, but it's going to be fun, and I can't wait to talk about it. And when I can, maybe we'll talk again.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
Okay. So when we sign off the podcast, we actually say, don't let your cape get caught in the door, which started off as a joke, but really has come to mean don't let your shortcomings or obstacles get in the way of achieving your goal.
Right.
What's something that you've overcome in your life to achieve a goal?
Oh, geez, that's a heavy question for a short answer that I'm going to have to give here. How much time do we have?
We got about 7 minutes.
Oh, wow, okay. Well, would you like my life story? I think that being your own timekeeper is a really hard thing, and keeping yourself on a strict schedule is very difficult for a lot of artists, because I think a lot of artists are creatives, which leads to daydreaming and spaciness and an unstructured lifestyle. And I think that building a routine and trying to be healthy and trying to eat right and not work out, but move around and keep active is very important. And it's something that I struggled with for a long time. I didn't take care of myself, and I started having more and more health issues being an artist sitting at a desk hunched over all day long. And I think that that's something that you have to break the habit of, or your career will kind of cut itself short on its own without you being able to stop it, right? You can't control when you have health issues. So one thing I'm really focusing on is trying to be healthy now and live a good lifestyle that is going to let me work until I die. I want to be doing comics forever and ever.
We understand the hunched over for hours on end because we're programmers.
There you go. There you go. You know where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
Get a good chair and go for walks.
Somewhere in there, somewhere there's a good chiropractor too, right?
Yes. Every month I go to an RMT and get my back worked on. So.
Yep. It's just necessary at this point.
It's important.
And then the question that we normally wrap up on is, how do you measure success?
That changes all the time for me. At the beginning of my career, I just wanted to make my rent, and then I wanted to pay off my student loan. So at the very beginning, a lot of it had to do with monetary success, I guess you could say. Paying bills, like making a living, doing something you love. That was my dream. And once I did that, the next way that I measured my success was doing work that I'm proud of. And I'm able to say that I'm proud of a lot of the work that I've done. And now the way that I measure my success is doing books that I would read as a fan of comic books. So going forward, and with Black Hammer and Justice League, I've been really lucky because I was already a huge fan of Jeff's work and Black Hammer. So this is a book that I would read as a fan. And I really want to keep working on books that I would read and that I am proud of and can suggest to friends that have the same taste as me.
And I read the first 4. We got the first 4 issues.
Yes.
Yeah, they left off the 5th, so we have to buy it now. But
gotta buy it.
It worked as far as you're concerned because I've been a fan of Justice League.
Yeah.
I haven't read Black Hammer. Now I want to read Black Hammer because the storyline just the characters are interesting.
And you should anybody out there who's read Black Hammer and Justice League really should go back and read Black Hammer because Jeff and Dean have crafted such an amazing world and all these characters that are so deep and their relationships are so interesting. It's a great book, and I recommend it to everybody.
Except Martians are green.
Martians? You'll have to talk to Barbalian about that one.
Yeah.
So that book is available on comic book stores now.
On where?
Oh, at comic book stores now, right?
Yes.
For all our listeners.
Yes.
Where can they find you online?
I am online on Instagram and Twitter, and my handle is at Mr. spelt out MISTER_Walsh.
Okay.
Because Michael Walsh is one of the most common names in the world, and I was way too late to get that one in the bank. So everything's Mr. Walsh mostly online.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you for being here.
Appreciate it.
All right. I think we have a couple more interviews still from New York, besides the roundtables that we have to chop up. So.
Yeah.
So yeah, look for more of those to come, boys and girls. All right. So before we call it a week, you guys have any recommendations? JD, you got anything for the listeners out there? Anything they should maybe pick up on Amazon or?
As a matter of fact, the Devil's Prayer is the first of the official books of Jericho, now available on Amazon. Pick it up. I have a 3-year-old who needs to eat.
Yes, and he needs to learn about kaki poo poo.
If I said that to him, he would go, "Daddy, don't talk like that." He speaks so well. I'm so proud of him.
So he gets that from his mother?
Yes. 100%.
Cool.
There was no hesitation there whatsoever.
Because it's true.
Besides the Devil's Prayer, you have any other recommendations for our listeners?
The Mandalorian. Go see Dr. Sleep. It's officially not doing very well at the box office. It's a really good movie. I liked it a lot. I think we talked about it last week a little bit. I'm bummed that it's not speaking to this audience. It's good. Go see it.
Okay. John?
No, I'll go see The Mandalorian. Okay. And go see Terminator Dark Fate because it really should have been Terminator 3.
Yeah.
Should there have been a Terminator 3?
It technically is. It ignores all of the other movies.
Should there have been a Terminator 3, though?
If it were this one, yeah. It would have been a perfect ending.
The problem with Terminator 3, in my opinion, is they make a big deal out of being able to change your fate in Terminator 2, and in Terminator 3 they're like, nope, it's written in stone. You can't do
I hated that. I agree 100%. That bothered me so much.
That was like Aliens 3, where they spend all that time trying to save Newt, and then they kill her off in the first minute.
Alien 3 is not a good movie either.
No.
Yeah.
Third movies in series are usually not good. Anyway.
I like Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, that's true. So do I. On that note, I think I will recommend, of course, The Mandalorian. I will second that. I think if you haven't watched it yet, and you enjoy Jeff Goldblum, that you should be watching The World According to Jeff Goldblum on Disney Plus as well. If you like his sense of humor and his personality, you get an earful of it in this show.
By the way,
weird personality.
He is a weird dude. There's one more Spider-Man show that did not make it to Disney Plus.
Oh.
2009 Spectacular Spider-Man, yes.
Yeah, that's completely owned by Sony, that's why.
Homecoming's not going to be on there either, right?
Nope.
Yeah, I figured.
Also, of course, we are 2 episodes into season 4 of Rick and Morty, so, if you want a quality entertainment, make sure you're watching that as well.
I know.
Oh my god, episode 2 was so great.
Oh, hell, even I've watched that. Although I didn't catch episode 2, so now I know what I'm watching as I go to bed.
Oh my god. It's actually, it's funny because the core of the episode is going to sound weird for those who've watched it, but it's kind of a topic that is close to my heart.
Cholesterol levels?
No.
Damn!
Keep that in mind when you're watching it, John. I understand where Rick's coming from, in this one. On that note, boys and girls, as always, thanks for listening, and don't let your cape be caught in the door. Have a good week.